There's no shortage of rough grub. That's a fact. And it's a lovely house in summer. Now, I don't know if I'd want to spend the winters down here. As they says, when the snow flies here, there's no flies. One thing I know is we works for our wages, and this is no place for the sluggard. I've seen a good many summers, back 10 years or more, and right up to last year, 1908. We had a full crew on, 50 big hearty men, all having to be fed and kept clean. Now mind you, they all didn't come in for a bite to eat at one time. Sure, if they did, I'd be like the story of feeding the 5,000 in the good book. Only I'd have to set them out up on the grass, up there on the hill. Not to the table like civilized people. No, they had to take turns. And I'd go out and I'd ring that big bell hung up on the side of the porch, and that'd call them into the meals or the mug-ups. Now, some of them wasn't overly patient about having to wait for a bit of dinner. You wouldn't know that they was always used to being waited on and served hand and foot. It's not like we don't feed them proper. They eats plenty for their breakfast, and 11 o'clock they don't be late for their mug up. Lots of them don't get that when they're home, I knows that. But now for the past 3 summers, that started around 1906, I believe, and 'tis the same this summer. We only got a small crew, 34, and that's including the merchant's agent, myself, and the 2 maids. The 2 maids they sent down to help me. The truth be told, them 2 maids is better at helping themselves. The grub, the sleeping in of the morning till I roots them out. And I guarantee you, young Rachel would be some quick to help herself to Captain Billy Williams when he's ashore, if I give her half a chance. But then again, I don't believe he'd do a lot of bawling and complaining if she did help herself, did he? Fine gentleman that he is. But now young Jessie's not too bad for her age, I suppose. She's only 15. But that Rachel, she's one young trollop if I ever know. One night last week, I got up to get a drink of cold water because we had salt fish for supper and it was too salt. And I told young Rachel to change the water on it before we went to bed the night before. And she, as saucy as a cracky, turned on me. She said, "What do you think? I'm stunned, my maid. Sure, I dare say I knows how to water a bit of fish. I'll change the water on it when I gets the time." I don't know if she changed the water on it or not, but it was as salt as lot when we eat it for supper the next night, and my bit of drawn butter was the only thing that redeemed it. There's times them girls that try the patience of Job. Anyhow, I was fair choked because of that salt fish, and after I went to bed, I had to get up to come down for a drop of water for me thirst. I never liked the lamp, because we had a full moon that night and it was as light as the day. Now, I come down over the stairs in my bare feet, because we was having a spurt of warm weather. It was right sultry that time. It's enough to roast you upstairs, although we had all the windows up. And when I come out to the kitchen, I caught a glimpse of a man creeping out the door, and he had his 2 boots in his hand and nothing on his 2 feet. He gave me the fright of me life, and every bit of breath left me body. I never had enough wind left me to squall out, and if the chair wasn't there by the door, I'd have been down on the floor on a pile. By the time my heart stopped pounding, and I had a mind to go to the window, I seen no other man than Captain Billy Williams, booting down over the lanchway as hard as he could go. Now, it might be my dirty mind, but what was he sneaking around in his bare feet, going for 2 o'clock in the morning here in my kitchen? Too early to leave for the fishing ground? Too late for his supper? I allow he was fishing all right. I'll get to the bottom of this, my maid, one way or the other before I goes back to Carbonear this fall. Look out when I do. Now, I never told this to many, and you probably won't ever hear me mention it again, but I never thought young Rachel was good for much until what happened here a fortnight ago. Uncle Joe Roberts gave me some fright. Here he was after taking nearly a slice half off of himself and his arm when he came up to my kitchen all full of blood. I got mad because I thought it was blood out of the fish he was gotten. What a state he made coming into the house. But all of a sudden I realised the blood was his own. I got so weak as a rat. Nearly fainted away, I'm ashamed to say. But now the weather was hot, and we was baking all day, no doubt that had something to do with it. I allow if young Rachel hadn't been there, poor old Uncle Joe would have bled to death right there in my kitchen. And that silly young Jessie was more hindrance than help. She near took the door off the hinges, running out through, bawling like she was going to wake the dead. But that Rachel, not a feather out of her. She took hold of Uncle Joe, set him down, bound up his arm. The next thing I knowed, we was all eating lassie buns and drinking tea. You wouldn't know it was a Sunday after dinner, and we was having a mug up before supper. Well, the good book says, judge not, that ye be not judged. Nod, my maid, you better take heed to that from now on.